Welcome to GoodTimeBoys. I'm Cherries, here with your co-host, Joe Cherries, and Vegetable Cart.
I'm Maldhound.
How you start.
See, that's good improv right there. That's where somebody establishes who you are, and then you rewrite who you are in a way that totally disrupts the flow of what was happening.
I am beginning to think that you don't know anything about improv.
Somebody's got to zig so that Veggie Cart
Can also zig.
Yep.
Good time, boys.
Wow, wow. Yes, today we're here on the Good Time Boys. We're talking about Rule Zero. And I think the most important thing before we even begin anything about Rule Zero is Into the AM, which is a t-shirt brand that you're not wearing.
You didn't bring me one. It's fine. Look, also the people out there can see. They can see. We are filming as we are moving out of the studio, out of the current studio. We're kind of flying by the seat of our very comfortable t-shirts here.
They didn't even have a sock budget for me this week. Anyway, please go to the Decked Out Patreon or the Ko-Fi to support this show as I continue to demonetize us to the best of our ability.
You can still use code Decked Out at Into the AM. And seriously, today I have nipple skull.
Yeah, and I'm actually, I think we've only seen like the graphic ones so far.
Mostly.
But this is just like basic V-neck. It's
Ooh,
very
bald.
nice.
Do you think they go deeper than that?
They better.
I'm Maldhound. Damn it.
Ugh, my foot just touched Veggie's foot.
I don't sound like that.
Yeah, you do a much better Southern accent.
That was not Veggie doing a Southern accent.
It's Maldhound. Rule Zero. What is Rule Zero? This is a really important thing to distinguish before we go into, because there's a lot to talk about.
It's a list of reasons people can yell at you for during the Commander game.
So let's start at the beginning of Rule Zero. Rule Zero at the start of Commander was simply the rule that if all players at a table agree to something, then it is a rule for that game, period. That was what the rule was. But it has transformed completely from that into finding the way to play the game that everyone wants to be playing at the table.
There's a step before that.
Okay, take it away.
And I know from the look on your face, you think that I'm setting up a punchline. I'm actually not. This is important information to understand what this should be and where it's coming from. Rule Zero was not a thing created for Commander. Rule Zero comes from the term Session Zero from Dungeons and Dragons, which is where you would get all of your players together and you would discuss, hey, what kinds of things would we like to happen in this campaign? What are you okay with in like, whether like, so usually this has to do with like topics or like themes throughout a campaign where they're like, oh, I'd rather not do something that is heavy into like sexual themes for this one, please. And DM goes, great, make sure that we don't have that in the game, stuff like that. And so Rule Zero was the Commander equivalent of those players coming together and going, what kind of thing do we want to happen in our game? What are we okay with for this one? And that is why it has that name, and that is where it came from.
Yeah, I did not know that part of the origin story. But yeah, it was originally like, hey, basically, Commander is whatever you make it. And that's cool. That's awesome. And like I said, it has, it's interesting that it has developed much more into a Session Zero now. Like it is completely a Session Zero where it's like, this is the pregame discussion that we have to determine what everyone is looking for in this game and how to make it a fair, fun game for everybody.
Sure.
I'm Maldhound.
No! I'm trying to be catty, and everything I do is just immediately dismantled.
I'm just going to say, if everything you do is dismantled by, I'm Maldhound, then maybe you need to work on that.
I'm trying. This is me working on it. And then she's just wham, wham.
I've mentioned this before, and everybody in the comments completely agreed with me that a good way to approach your Commander games can be that it is a D&D game. But I think it speaks a lot to where this, like, what you should be doing in your Rule Zero conversation, knowing that it came from a full session of Dungeons and Dragons. It is, you can certainly start up a campaign and just go, no, everybody just fill out your character sheet. You're on your own. Start at whatever level you want. Everybody's going to have something that they feel good about. Everybody sit down and play. And that can work out. That can totally work out. But on the other end of it is, hey, if we have an actual like discussion on what we all look forward to in this commitment of a game, that those will turn out better.
I actually have, I would like to ban Veggiewagon on this point when you were, because the phrase start at whatever level you want hit me like an ice pick to the chest. The idea of sitting down with like a level 3 character when somebody else sits down with level 15. And I think it connects with the thing most Rule Zero haters I've interacted with are fostering some belief that higher power magic is by necessity more difficult magic and therefore more hardcore. And when I think about my D&D campaigns, the tactical demands of level 3 characters have always been infinitely higher than level 20. Like having access to more powerful tools can actually make certain play patterns way simpler.
Yeah, you just do the one real good thing that your character does.
And the same is true in Magic. Like we have this incredibly wide breadth of what cards can do and what cards can be capable of. And like higher power decisions are not necessarily more complex decisions. You certainly get more complicated stacks, and you can get some very, very complicated decisions, but you can get those at lower power too. And Rule Zero is just there for you to pick ahead of time which flavor do you want. There's too much game. There's just too much game for going in with no expectations to work out well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like if you just sit down in the game of Commander and don't say anything, it's unlikely everyone at the table will have fun. Incredibly unlikely, because everyone's just if you literally go, all right, deck, boop, sleep, go. Like you might literally end up with CDH player, bracket 2, bracket 2, bracket 3. And it's just like, well, that's not going to be fun. No one's going to really enjoy that kind of game. And it makes Rule Zero so incredibly important to what Commander is. Because without it, you can't really play Commander the way it's intended. You literally end up in a spot where if you don't talk, you will only have, it's not a fun game, I would say. I would say Commander is not a fun game if you do not discuss before the game in some way. Now, obviously the Rule Zero talk can have been had already, like with a friend group. Mm-hmm. Like you don't need to sit down with a friend group and go, hey, what do we expect out of this game every time?
Because the expectations are already there.
Exactly.
Because you've played with these people before. You know the things that they're likely to have, to like the decks that they have, how they're likely to play. So you have had that. You've had that Rule Zero discussion by being friends with them, by having played with them before.
I've had somebody tell me, my pod doesn't believe in Rule Zero. We've been playing together since high school, parentheses, about 10 years. Mm-hmm. We update the budget limit regularly, and past that have no discussions about power level. And I almost made a response video to that, and I just couldn't. It was so exhausting to reread that comment, and I was like, I'm being fucked with. So to you, whose name I will not drop, you successfully rage baited me with that comment. I paced angrily around my room for hours, like I'm gonna get this motherfucker.
I like that. I didn't. You got me with, we also update the budget from time to time. There's a budget.
That's like definition Rule Zero, like literal definition. I don't know if you know this, Commander doesn't have a budget. Normal rules, no fucking budget.
No, but Commander that my friend group of the last 10 years enjoys the budget show. Don't you get it? Don't you get it?
No.
There are people just walking around like that, being like, yeah, I've got it right, dude.
It kind of reminds me of when we were talking about politics, how everything in a game is politicking. Anything that you determine about the game of Commander that isn't just playing directly by the rules, any card restriction, any talk that changes even a little bit of anything for the game is rule 0. And everyone uses it that plays Commander, or I would say 99% of people, because I don't think you would come back if you weren't.
Standard FNM is rule 0.
Mm-hmm.
You show up to that event with a preset expectation. Now, they have a very clean label and a label that is officially supported by WotC, but it's the literal same thing. It is a preset batch of expectations to let you know what cards am I allowed to bring and what cards should I expect other people to be playing.
Yes.
I think a good point, FNM is a good thing to talk about because there is a different expectation that is set that I would consider rule 0 when you go to an FNM and when you go to a, like, let's just say a GP. A GP is an old timey event where your grandfather could play competitively. But there's a different expectation. I would never expect, and this is at a big event like a GP, someone to let me take something back. I think it isn't. At least I do, and I don't expect it, but it is very common to let people take something back at an FNM, at a casual event. And that is a rule 0 thing.
Yeah, I get that because I let people, like, I mostly just play in pre-releases because I'm terrible at constructed. But yeah, if we were playing a pre-release, I let people do take backsies all the time. So unless they're trying to wind back like an entire phase or like a series of actions where but if they're like, oh, I play this, you didn't see that, right? I'll just go, nope. Good.
I watched the craziest thing happen. Somebody who held themselves the most accountable of any player I've ever seen in my life. They flash back the card Final Days. And when you flash it back, you get 2/2 tapped horrors, whatever, doesn't matter. 2/2 tapped creatures equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard. He flashed this back with no creatures in his graveyard. I was watching and I was like, that doesn't make you any horrors. I was watching.
Right. Because when you cast it normally, it makes you 2 no matter what.
Yes. So that is what they thought would happen. And it was not my game. It was my husband Christian's game. And my husband was like, just take it back. And he's like, nope. I'm like, he's like, take it back. He's like, you can just take it back. He's like, I will not. And he's like, it's fine, pass. So he spent his whole turn paying 7 mana and passing because he refused to take back his play, which was just super interesting to see. And like this was the re-release that we did, that event.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have my own story time when there was a time when Veggie, Airball, and Nerd Girl were trying to get me into Pioneer and were taking me to Pioneer RCQs. I did my first one with Is It Phoenix, did terribly, misplayed all over the place. For the next one, I tried Amalia, which was at that time the like head empty, eat crayons, win games deck. And I played Veggie in my round 1 and I played some stuff and I went, I'm going to move to combat. And Veggie was like, no, you don't. just under his breath so no one else could hear. And he was like looking at a card on my board and he was like, and I was like, what? Yeah, like I need to do. He was like, no, you don't. You don't. And like that doesn't happen at a GP. And this was still an RCQ. He was still being incredibly generous, being like, man, you gotta look at your own card. But that is a level of competitive generosity where I do think people have some degree of scale in their head of how cutthroat you are. And even that is a level of rule 0 that we're enforcing, even in constructed, which is typically held up as an example of like, oh, 1v1, no rule 0, winner take all, just play.
Now, I want to bring up this point because I think it shapes a lot of like where the arguments against rule 0 come from. These like walking into an FNM or going to a GP or whatever thing you're doing in an established like format that is not Commander does the same thing as a Rule Zero conversation. However, they are very different. One of them requires you to show up, and the other one requires you to have a conversation with your fellow human beings. And you let me know if this is also your experience, but I found that generally the people that are very against having a Rule Zero conversation in Commander are like, they have been playing Magic for a long time, or they're shitty people. But the first one I can kind of understand, because they've always been able to just go to Magic thing and play Magic, and everybody's got the expectation already. And this is, to them, a waste of time. I have shown up to play Commander format. Why do we need to discuss then what game we are playing? I have always been able to go to Game Store, sit down, play Magic, everyone happy.
They're used to valet parking.
Yes.
And now, they don't want to walk now. Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And it's unique because like all of the other formats are curated. They are in theory balanced, and even if they aren't, everybody has a very specific expectation of what that format is and what they are there to do. But with Commander, it was just like, it's purposefully left very open, very unbalanced. Everybody can express themselves in the way that they want to. They can play the thing that they want. I would say that these are two very different things that, even though they accomplish the same thing, we compare them too often as to like, oh yeah, the other formats have Rule Zero. It's like, they don't. They specifically don't have it because those formats are designed to not have them. And so I can empathize with players that are like, I don't want to do this because this is not Magic. They're still wrong. You do need to do that for this format.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before. You need to approach Commander as it is a completely different game than 1v1. They use the same game pieces. They're similar in a lot of ways, but they are different. They are different games, and it is important to make that distinction, because one does not need to be, you don't need to talk to your opponent before the game. And the other one, you 100% do. Like, again, I'm not over exaggerating when I say every game should have a Rule Zero conversation of some kind in Commander.
Okay, yeah.
I'm actually going to refute this in a non-funny way for once in my life. And this is based on extremely limited observation. So I'm not going to present this as objective truth. But I think one important difference is we're using explicit competitions as examples for 60 card formats versus Commander games, which are typically social gatherings. I have seen people attempt to put together casual Commander tournaments. I am one of them. Yeah. They are dumpster fires.
Yeah.
But those also stop requiring the conversation. And I've seen people, and I've had friends who got me into Magic, and other friends who tried unsuccessfully to get me into Magic, who played 60 card Magic outside the confines of a FNM with prize support or outside an RCQ, and they still had these conversations. So I do, for once in my life, genuinely and wholeheartedly disagree that they're not used to these conversations. They are used to them being shorter, and they are used to them being more based in rigid facts. The shortest example being, are we playing jank or meta? I have heard that from two people I lived with back in California who tried to get me in when they would play standard against each other often. And so I do think these conversations have been happening. And I think that anybody who says, oh, this is not a thing you have to have, are being disingenuous, and do understand that it's just close enough for them to feign ignorance rather than a thing of them genuinely not having had to do it before. But Now, I will cede the point too. If you're someone who has only ever played in the context of a competition with prize support, and then you go to Commander, yeah, totally different thing, because you're moving from the constraint of there is a prize we all covet and wish to win to the prize we covet and wish to win is all four of us smiling at some point.
You know, not that the two of you don't also do this, but having gone to a lot of like Magic events, it's been important to me to figure out how to do an effective Rule Zero conversation and how to do it efficiently, because it's a lot of Magic with people I haven't met before. So let's talk about why people don't want to do a Rule Zero conversation. Because I have found that there are a lot of consistencies. And so I've said one is they're a player that's been playing for a long time. They're used to not having to do this, and it can seem like a waste of time. I feel like we've kind of addressed that as just, no, it's not. You can't have the same expectation that you had for those other formats with this. But it also, it is often bad actors. And sometimes those players don't even know that is really what it is. That is the reason that they don't like it. But they will not like it because they are trying to hide a thing that their deck is able to do, or they are trying to play a thing that they've heard multiple times that people don't like playing against. Both of which I think are like, the first one is skill issue. If you're trying to hide a thing in your deck because it doesn't work, if people know what it does, then you're bad at Magic. And like, that's...
I have recent experience with this with someone I de-radicalized in my Discord because I have a like Dear Abby section where you can ask me for advice, and they were asking about a deck they felt was being gunned for too heavily. They were like, this is a bracket 3 deck by both the rule book and but what I feel is my intent. And I go there and the LGS will like sort people into tables. And he's like, I get sat at bracket 4 tables. I've not only not ever won a game, I'm getting left in the dust every game. I just feel like my tools are not appropriate.
Okay.
Even though, and they were a combo deck to a previous discussion we've had about lower power combo deck. They were like, I am a combo deck, but it takes a lot of pieces. It takes a lot of setup. I don't have a lot of tutors for it, again, because of the bracket 3 thing.
Yeah.
And they were like, what do I do? And I asked, how are you navigating your Rule Zero conversations? And they said, well, it's really hard because I can't tell them what the deck does because that ruins the fun. And I just hit the loudest incorrect buzzer of my life immediately. So I'm going to soapbox your point to say to anybody watching, if telling people what your deck does ruins the bit is not worth playing. I do understand there is a novelty factor that is a bonus, but if it completely ruins it, if you believe 100% of the fun is contained within the fact they don't know what's coming, and you can't even speak in generalities of like, this is a 3-card combo, not a 2-card combo, or this is a 4-card combo, if you think that ruins it, you don't understand where the fun in your deck is located.
Yeah, I would just say, if you believe that, you are incorrect. 100%. I have seen the jankiest shit to ever exist. Stupid. I can't even remember what it was. It was literally like, hey, my deck is based around this one card that no one ever plays. It's one of those cards that says for every time you've cast your commander, and the whole deck was just, I'm going to cast my commander as many times. It was the most obvious plan I've ever seen. It was in front of us. They told us about it, and they still got to execute it and do it and have fun with their deck, even though everyone knew it was coming, because it didn't matter that it was out there. It was still a thing that they could do and have fun with. And I would just say, if you can't have fun with a deck without hiding it, then you're, again, just doing something wrong. You're incorrect, or you just need to adjust that thought process.
I'm going to make this interesting.
Okay.
As the person who started this conversation, I'm actually going to walk back a little bit.
Okay.
I have been and still am a lover of people, of seeing other people at the table go, oh my that does that works. And I will say, if you need to keep something hidden in your deck so that you can pull it off, then you're bad at Magic. But I will not steer you totally away from playing a deck where you need to keep things hidden. But in your example with the person that you were talking to, that comes with the territory. You just have to go, do I need to totally hide what this deck is able to do so that I can get that moment of surprise? Okay, then I need to tell the table, I'm trying to do a thing that I can't tell you about, and I understand that may make me the biggest threat here. All I can tell you is trust me, it does fit within this bracket. But if that is all that you can tell them, then you have to accept that people are just going to go, oh my God, I don't know what it is.
It's probably Thassa's Oracle.
Yep. So I think totally play those decks, and that can be your greatest source of joy. It just means that you are going to have to be able to take that heat and figure out how to make it happen. And that may just be either get better at Magic or adjust what you want your deck to do, or the thing that you think is the most fun about it.
Yeah, there are two doors in front of you. One door says Little Bean. One door says Shadowy Master Plan. You get to pick one at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I have to bring that up because I have absolutely done that thing where I'm like, this deck, the thing that will make me happiest is if I don't tell you anything about it and you get surprised by the super wacky thing that it does. Does the wacky thing win the game? Yeah, probably. But I need to not tell you, and I accept what that means.
So I think that's just, like, I agree with you that you can and should do that if that is fun to you. But I just think it's a different thing, I would say. I think the thing that we're specifically talking about is people who have linked the fun to it, who are like in the sense of, it's not the mystery. It's something else. Like, oh man, if they know what cards to counter, that's not fun to me. If they know how to stop my combo, that's not fun to me. I think it's more that we are talking about. Like, I can agree with you that if you like the mystery part, like that's a fun thing. Like that can be enjoyable too.
I'm with you on that partially. Sometimes if you have deck that does surprise thing, and you do genuinely like enjoy getting the surprise of it, I would say often that is because you're using unconventional like combo pieces, or you're using an interaction that people are not quite aware of. So you might just only get to do this once, but I would say that there's some merit to that on being like, I need you to not know what to counter to see if you can figure it. Like if you can figure it out, great. But I want to do this surprise thing to you. I think I have a higher chance of getting to do so if you don't understand how this works. However, I accept that me hiding all of this information means that you will be scared of me and do the things that you think are appropriate.
I think there is some valid quibbling to be had here about the semantic specificity when it comes to revealing the nuts and bolts and revealing generalities like I talked about. Because I think there's a difference between saying, this is a combo deck, it's a weird one, I'm not telling you what the pieces are, just know that it's a combo deck and know that I feel it's bracket 3, versus this deck has blue in it.
You only know that because of the commander
like
that I must put on the board.
Right, like I think there's a meaningful difference between saying, here's my commander deck, this is my commander, this is the archetype it falls into, and there is a secret tool in here that will help me later that I cannot reveal to you at this time. And this is my commander, it's bracket 3, can we play now?
Yeah.
I can't. And then you can still do the like, I can't tell you anything about it. Like at the point where, and I think this does come down to individual preference. At the point where someone is willing to reveal the archetype they feel their deck falls into, I'm comfortable with you then going, I have sneaky little cards I want to reveal. But if you are a combo deck who will not say I'm playing a combo period, that is when it begins to feel like you are hunting too hard for a gotcha moment.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel about not letting the word or not even saying if you're a combo deck or not?
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you on it. I think I'm realizing more that what I am looking for here is if you feel that the Rule Zero conversation hurts your win rate, having the conversation makes you win less games, then that is the problem.
Yeah.
Because if that statement may be true, but if that is a thing you are concerned about, then you're looking at Commander wrong and get better at Magic. Because if you're like, I have this silly weird deck and I will tell you what I can about it, but I'd like to keep an element of surprise because of what it can do, then you are not thinking about I need people to not know because that gives me a better chance of winning. It's I need people to not know because the elements of surprise will make me happy. Or, I am looking to, if this wins the game, great. But the thing that is important is accomplishing the thing that the deck does, which must be a secret.
I want to be the Riddler.
Yes.
I want, because I am with you on if somebody told me I'm playing a combo deck and I was like, what combo? And they were like, I'm not telling you. I'm actually in.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I'm in a deck, we're in a bracket that has interaction and I'm in a responsible deck, I'm like, I'm leaning forward, sleeves are going up. I'm like, let's play some fucking Magic, dog. What do you mean you won't tell me? Versus like, this is my chill mid-range deck. By the way, Thoracle.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I have a weird question, just because this is way off topic, by the way. This isn't even close to what we were just talking about. If you come to a game with two of the, whatever the Piper is, where you choose a color before the game.
Oh, Prismatic Piper, yeah.
If you come with two Prismatic Pipers as your partners and you have chosen two colors, do I have to tell my opponent what I have chosen before the game?
I mean, I think if you got double,
Yes.
if you're rocking double PPs, you have to tell people.
Also, if you're rocking double PPs, then I don't think that hiding what your deck is going to help.
I don't need it to help. My question was simply, can I be a silly boy and just be like, haha, they know nothing before the game?
See, like one, I totally support that because it falls under that. It falls under the category of the thing that not telling people information about my deck will. I'm doing this because it's fun and silly, not because it's going to help me to win.
Yeah, because obviously 2 5-mana 3/3s isn't going to help me.
It can't possibly. Holy shit, that would be.
They're also legendary, so you probably can't even have two.
No, you super cannot.
Yeah, you can't.
Super cannot. Okay, so Veggie,
Yeah.
let me maybe ask you a probing question then, because I have had opinions on this that have changed over time. What do you think is the shortest possible Rule Zero conversation that you can have between 4 people who have never interacted before?
Okay.
And still have it be effective enough? We'll say maybe like 90% confidence that the game's going to go well.
I mean,
90% is too high for.
Okay, 75% confidence.
Yeah, I was gonna say because 90 is like
We'll assume everyone's in good faith. Everyone's a good sport.
right. What's the best, most efficient Rule Zero conversation you can have?
What is
shortest?
the fastest?
Fastest.
The
So
shortest that still clears the bar.
I know what it is. Anybody got CEDH?
Ooh.
I mean,
he said a little something.
mean, I think-
he's right too.
I think with 75% accuracy, I think you could get that from just asking the bracket. I think you can get that close enough. Like, I think you're going to miss 1 out of 4 times feels about right. And if you just do bracket.
All right, then let's raise it to 90%. Because what I do want is like, And the thing is, I don't believe, as I streamed a lot of Commander games with my community, and if the bracket system had existed then and we just did bracket go, I'll tell you, like 1 out of 20 would have gone well.
Okay.
And the rest would have been fucking disasters.
So to bump it up to 90, I would say you have to do bracket to keep it as short as possible. Bracket into what deck is/does. So like, I would just say like for my Zyra deck, I would say Zyra deck, control, remove everything. And like that is enough that I think if every player does that basic thing about their deck, combo or, Urza, combo, blank, whatever. I think that's enough. Like you could basically get there with that, but that's like trying to be as efficient as possible and pushing through, because obviously you can expand on all of that. But I think that is the most efficient thing I can think of that would get you there fastest.
Dr. Fruit?
Yeah, I do think that the bracket system helps a lot.
Yes.
I think we do need to recognize it's still in beta as far as I understand.
Oh yeah, it's super good.
It's still super in beta. So
this is the classic game that never leaves beta.
Right.
2 years later, we're going to be in beta. And it's like, guys, you can't judge it too hard. It's still in beta.
Right. Because it is an impossible task. They're trying to create a system that is a rule zero conversation. And while it is something that we should be trying to do, that figuring that out is absurdly difficult. And everybody has a different idea of like how long should it take to be able to be able to figure out what bracket your deck is and be able to communicate that with people and stuff. So I think the tool that they've given us is helpful to get everybody in the right ballpark. And then the exact answer to your question is I go bracket, and then I ask, is this a silly or a weird one, or is this a spicy one? So really, I've just broken the bracket it into 10 brackets. But I have found that has been pretty accurate, and that has put us back into the power levels. With the problem the problem with the power levels though is everybody started at like a 6, and that was it. And so it was really only 4 levels.
I'd say I never even saw people use 6. It's like 7 was the...
6 was like, this is garbage.
Right.
Yeah. So having brackets where all of the numbers are usable, and then breaking that into like, I was trying to build the best deck I can within this bracket, or I was building something and it fell into this bracket. Now all 10 of the power levels are actually usable.
Yeah. Okay. I'd agree with that. Yeah. And yes, to avoid appearing like a rage baiter, I do just want to say, I don't think you could create a system where you could just say, I am value X, and that handled the rule zero conversation for you. So I'm not saying it like, this is what the bracket system should eventually fold in. I think if you think you've done that, you have missed something. And the bracket system is one of the best versions of a thing we could have gotten to get us in the right neighborhood at the beginning of it. But I do think it's interesting because I generally, I do generally think the longer a rule zero conversation goes, the less helpful it becomes after about like the 4th or 5th minute. Because another pushback I see from a lot of Rule Zero haters is like, I don't want to spend longer talking about the game than I do playing it. And that's never happened. Let's just come together, set the ground floor. Never fucking happened, Joshua. Okay. But I have seen, if you take longer than 5 minutes, we're probably quibbling about shit that doesn't matter, or you have an extremely personal hang up about a thing that boils down to you being bad at Magic. Do we agree to that, or do we?
I respect not wanting to take that time at the beginning of a game, and there being a point where your average person is like, and that is valid. Personally, I think the longer that you take in that conversation, the better the game will be. No stop. But at a certain point, the value of having the conversation versus how much the game improves, there's certainly a point where those two intersect.
Okay, diminishing returns.
Yeah, I would agree that it is diminishing returns, but I don't think I agree with Maul. There is definitely a point where it's just not improving anything. Like I think if you talk for you're probably right. Like if you talk for 3+ minutes about it, you're gonna hit a point where it's just like either you're running in circles or you should have said that earlier. If you suddenly on minute 5 hit something you should have said right away about your deck, you've just had an inefficient conversation, I would say. Like you don't know how to approach Rule Zero with your deck yet. And that's fine. That's a totally thing. But like I think everyone should be able to get what they need to say about their deck out in like 30 to 40 seconds. Like things aren't that complex usually, but I do understand that like you can go further and talk more. I just think you can easily get it in. You just need to you should just understand your own decks. That's the important part. If you understand your own deck, you can take a Rule Zero conversation much faster.
Yeah, I agree with both of the things here because I do think this is two things. I do genuinely believe if you were to take like 3 months to have a Rule Zero conversation, that game would be
Best
the most
game ever.
Perfect game that you've ever played in your life.
The point is, it can't be more perfect. The deck's already set at that point, and at some point, there's no. Just imagining the 3-month conversation.
Look, do you want to know what a 3-month a 3-month Rule Zero conversation looks like?
Sure.
It's called designing precons.
Oh my God, go away.
But that's not important. I'm saying that I do agree because the ideal is being able to do this as quickly as possible to get you into the game. That's where the conflict is. We have to recognize that this is an important thing that is essential to make your games good. And hopefully we spend as little time as possible having to do it, which is weird.
Let me come at this from another angle then. Rather than time, do you think it is both possible and harmful to overset expectations about a game?
I think, I've kind of said this already, but no is the short answer. I don't think it is possible to, or harmful to overstate expectations for a game. But what you do harm is your valuable time. That to me is the only thing, is that like at a certain point you are still improving the game that you are setting up. It is just like eventually we do need to play the game and figuring out what is like the ideal amount of like what is the sweet spot of if I spend 30 seconds talking about my deck and setting my expectations for the game, how good of a game, how much have I improved the game by doing that? Okay, but if I did it for a minute, then how much does the game what is the sweet spot? I think is the struggle.
Okay. I do have an interesting thing. I think you're wrong to some extent because I just don't think there's that much to discuss. And I think that if you're going to discuss that much, you're going to discuss things that don't need to be discussed in Rule Zero at that point that I feel like are just unnecessary. Like, I'm trying to think, it's something hyper specific.
Don't you think? I'll think for us. Bump set spike. So the thing that I was getting towards is again stuff I saw a lot when I was setting up games within my own community and when I have set up games at conventions, although I do know you set up more than me. You certainly have the volume advantage.
Nice.
Okay, so I'm certain you would agree there are expectations that are good to set and bad to set. For example, setting bracket, great expectation. Bad expectation would be like, nobody's going to hit me before turn 6, right? It's like, you can't promise that in the context of a pregame conversation. And so rather than it being, or not can't, but it's probably more likely to be deleterious than not to set that type of expectation in a pregame conversation. Make me fight for every fucking inch.
I think I have to pull back on this statement a little bit, where I do stand on it, but I want to focus more on the fact that yes, there is a point where it is not worth it to continue talking about the game versus the time that because of the time you've spent to set up the game. But yes.
I do think there's a useful thing that will come out of this that is not dunking on you, and it is specifically that there are a lot of healthy expectations to set, and there are a lot of things that are, we might call personal hangups, that can lead you to ask for unhealthy expectations. And these are typically things that fall into the realm of like, well, no one's going to be mean to me, right? I'm just a little guy. And then you do a good start. I won't even belabor the point about Soul Ring, but you do something hot, then people target you and you're like, what the fuck? We said this was chill. And they're like, oh, but you're doing very powerful things. And I have historically found that these types of expectations are the ones that start getting talked about past the 5-minute point. Because when I would set up these games for stream, there was an ebb and flow of how long I spent on Rule Zero. And I would believe that you or anyone who's really practiced at it is able to run a really long Rule Zero conversation and keep expectations in check in terms of overall health. But I would say as a broad recommendation, kind of like how past 10 p.m. you just can't be trusting the brain to make decisions. Like past that 5 to 10 minute mark, people start asking for some crazy shit, dog. That's when people ask for that's when I have seen the most people, including myself, be like, well, if we just asking for shit, what if I ask for this dumb, stupid thing that is unreasonable to set the expectation for? How does that sit with you?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That is kind of like what we're trying to figure out, right? Like, what are those? Right. What are the essential things to discuss before the game, and then, like, can you survive on that? And at what point are you just asking for these things that don't really matter?
So I guess what is your essentials? Like, let's break it down to bare bones, because I kind of went over my bare bones and Mald asked that. So what would you say bare bones to get through it as fast as possible? Like, and we'll hit with that accuracy, 90%.
I only need one. And that is intent, which is a very general term. But I specify that because in reality, the two that I will ask for are bracket and intent. The bracket system already is a marker of intent. That is what it's supposed to be. It is not supposed to be power levels. It's not supposed to be anything like that. It's just they found cards that tend to get around what somebody's intent was in building a deck. Like, these cards, the thing that they do to the game just simply override what your intent was often when they're played. But bracket for most players gives you, oh, these are the cards I can expect to see. This is the card pool that I was working with. So we've chosen a bracket. We say like, bracket 2. All right, great. I know what cards what I won't see. I can guess at some cards I might see. Now, what was your intent with this deck? Oh, well, I wanted like, I took whatever commander and I wanted to like do some really big stuff with it, but it just like kept losing at the bracket 3 and bracket 4, so I put it down here. Or like, I just think this commander's not good enough to hang at those. I'm like, okay, so your intent was I want to do big, powerful things, and I think this is at its most powerful in this bracket. That's an intent. Or I made the little silly guy, and I came up with like this 5-card combo that I think is really stupid, but I'm going to try and pull it off. And all of those cards go into this bracket. And I'm like, great. That's a different intent. And which is why I broke it down into, is it spicy or is it silly? Is usually what people understand pretty quickly.
It's really interesting because like I live in a world where I'm always in between spicy and silly. Like, I wouldn't describe my decks as silly, but I also wouldn't describe them as very spicy either. It's like I just kind of live in this nebulous between there. I would say they're a little more silly.
You got that high temp mayonnaise. You got that high temp mayonnaise, dog.
Exactly. It's just sitting in the middle instead of because I honestly, like, it would be like, as soon as, like, you would have, like, I've been thinking about this since you said that, and I'm just like, but I don't have an answer.
But you do, because then if somebody does this, then you ask them, are you proud of how this deck wins, or are you proud of the thing are you proud of something else in the deck? Because I think oftentimes your deck would fall into silly. Not because they're trying to do some wacky veggie combo, but because I put this building restriction on myself and I stuck to it. Like, I only used, uncommon green cards and rare red cards and, mythic black cards or whatever. Then I'm like, that's silly. And it doesn't mean that you can't make spicy plays in it. It doesn't mean that all of your cards are bad, but it means that your priority here was not in, I'm trying to build a thing that wins within this bracket.
I also, you mentioning silly, I think I'm going to build Spider Ham with only the creature types listed on the card. It's a lot of creature types, 18. But while I was making my video about Spider Ham, which is definitely out by now, while I was making it, I was going through, I'm like, there's a lot of mana door. Ooh, there's a lot of card. This might just actually function as a deck if I just restrict myself. It might actually
Holy
not
shit,
be
green
terrible.
creatures? What if I did green creatures?
Yeah, but what if you had to do like these silly creature types that seem like they were picked out of a hat?
This is what I work with.
I mowed.
What would green have? Beasts? Animals? Why I never?
No, Beast isn't on there. It's arbitrary. It's literally, it feels arbitrary.
It does.
It feels so arbitrary. It's like dogs, cats, jackals. Obviously Jackals is on here. It's just like Spider and Boar. Obviously those make sense. And then it's just like, here we go.
However would I figure out cat, man? Kutzel enjoyers, get in the comments.
Why is cat on Spider Pig?
Actually, yeah, if you know, please let us know, because...
Do you know the origin story of Spider Pig? Because this is
Cat bit him.
No. He was bitten by a radioactive Aunt May pig. He was a spider. he turned into a humanoid. It's so good. She made herself go mad doing some science experiment and then picked up a spider and bit it. And that is Spider Ham. That's how it works. And after she calmed down, she adopted him and goes by his aunt now. And no, wait. After the radiation, she was confused and now thinks it's her nephew and takes care of Spider Ham like it is her nephew.
Incredible.
I will say, if you look up the dumb Spider-Man's lore, they are amazing. Like the spider T-Rex was actually a pterodactyl bit by Norman Osbornosaur or whatever it is, who was a T-Rex. They were then struck by a radioactive meteorite filled with radioactive spiders that switched their bodies. It's so amazing.
Now that we have the spider T-Rex, I just want to see Colossal Dreadman.
Yeah.
Just a big fucking guy.
He's just a normalized dude. He's just a 6'6" with trample.
It's just Shaq.
I want him not to have any other creature types. I want him to be human and nothing else. Like, so you don't get to be like, oh yeah, he's human who does that. No, he is human. Basic human.
This is my guy. Okay, can I give my essentials? Because I have a very different idea than either of you two, and I am...
Oh, is this the classic, you're asking a bunch of questions to somebody that you've just met, but trying to lead them into asking you the same question?
No, I'm going to come out and say it.
so, like,
this is a goddamn podcast. I'm trying to get you motherfuckers to create content so that I can
what's your
create
favorite
content.
anime? Like, are you into that? Like, you know,
Is
wait,
that
you
not
had
the
a favorite
premise
one?
of what we're doing here?
You guys want to
Is the premise of what we're doing? Not the three of us sit in a circle.
No, the premise is this.
Do you want me to make content? You want to hear more about Spider Ham? I know that he has a
about you
girlfriend named
shut the fuck
Mary Jane Water Buffalo.
All right, I'm on this now. Hold on. I'm on this now. How'd they meet?
I have no clue. There's way too much. I got the wiki version.
Oh my
so
God.
I only have the wiki version. Though she does take up the mantle of being her own Spider Ham.
Now, Joe, you've played a lot of Commander. If you had like some essentials for what you would want in Rule Zero conversations.
Well, I know you're prompting me, so I'll ask you. So what are yours?
I was hoping you'd ask.
Way too fucking meta. Did you guys know theft has two meanings?
Is that a joke?
No.
Okay.
Bang bang.
What have you got, Mald?
Your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a student of the school of thought that it should always be, not always be, the least you can skate comfortably on is most powerful thing your deck can do / what is your Christmas land? Because some people react aggressively to the idea that their deck can do anything powerful. And so sometimes saying, what's your deck's Christmas land? And then some qualitative descriptor of how likely that is to happen. And that has worked better for me because I find with Rule 0, I have had more success spending most of my energy mitigating downside risk rather than trying to find things that are going to pump the game up to be even more enjoyable. It's like if I can cover the bases of making sure nobody at this table is going to ruin the vibe, we will have a good time. I'm extremely confident that the time will be good as long as nobody's fucking up the vibe. And so I don't think, unless you are very emotionally immature, people don't really fuck up the vibe by their decks performing worse than normal, or even their decks performing average. Almost every bad time I have had, almost every like Rule 0 gone wrong conversation I've tried to help adjudicate or run comes from somebody going like, my thing is chill, man. And then they do something somebody else at the table feels is not chill, man. Not even something that's like necessarily pub stuff. There's been plenty of times I come down on the side of the person who did the not chill thing. And I'm like, no, they just had a good opening for a strategy that can get established. And so my essentials for eliminating the downside risk is most fucked up thing you got. Is that a blue moon, I won the lottery? Is that here's my ceiling, my deck is built to hit that ceiling as reliably as possible? Because that's typically how I play, is I like to build decks that have a lower ceiling and hit it every game. And I have more fun doing that than the decks that are like, well, sometimes this will brick and sometimes the moon will explode. But people have fun doing that. And I respect them. And so I find it manages the expectations better if they go like, oh, well, I'm trying to make the moon explode, but it's unlikely and I need a few pieces. I don't even need, again, don't need to know the pieces. Don't need to know like, you have to counter this or the moon.
If I think, just to expand on that, because I do like that, to throw my own version of it into there, something that I do when I build decks, and now I want to ask people this when I play, because this is a very interesting thing, is if your deck does its thing, would automatically win. I think that's really interesting to me, because I intentionally build decks that do the thing and do not necessarily convert to a win. Like sometimes I go, oh, okay, like Alana, you do all these big counters. It doesn't necessarily mean I win. This is a 65-65, but I don't necessarily convert that to a win. Whereas a differently built deck will always convert that to a win. And it's an interesting premise. I'm not saying this is a good question, but it is something that popped into my head here. And I realized that there's something I do in deck building. I will make it so I can do my big splashy thing, whatever the deck wants to do, I can do it, but I won't necessarily win from it. And I like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just a little off topic, but I do really enjoy that about Commander. I like watching people do their thing, but not necessarily winning. Like, it's why I find cards like, it's why I don't find combos that fun, and it's why I don't find cards like Craterhoof that fun, because there's no in between. Craterhoof is just win, it's over. There's no like, you play Craterhoof and maybe you knock out one player. That happens like once every 35 games, because every other game you just won.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm just thinking of this on the spot, but it sounds like if you were to put like a word to this, it would be like intent. Like, oh, the main thing that my deck does, I was either thinking about that being a win the game thing or I don't care, I just want to do the thing.
I don't disagree. I think, but I also think it is very helpful to put it in other words. I think that when you breaking it down into the word intent is helpful, but it's also helpful to show people the many meanings that can have and the different ways you can take that.
Yeah.
I've also interacted with a number of people who internally define any combo that immediately wins the game and has more than 2 pieces as silly and bad and not trying to win. And so I do think that is some helpful clarity, not in, because those are like people who I don't think are bad actors, but they're generally people who have played so much good Magic. They're like, oh, this is fucking horrible. I'm goofing around with literal trash.
I have experienced, I have lived that. A friend back in Buffalo that I didn't play with much. He was a CDH player, loved CDH. We were like, hey, your decks just don't match with our thing. Could you build something weaker if you're going to play with us? Just, this isn't how we play. We don't play that high of power level. He comes back with a Vadrak deck, like the mutate thing. It just like combos off on like turn 6 and is like, yeah, but that was slow and silly. It was like, my dude, you're not getting it. Like that, just because you took out the mana crypt and you took out the other card and then you left the same combos in, didn't make it silly. It was the same deck.
I can't even fight through a flusterstorm, you guys. What am I doing here?
Yeah, Force of Will would have beat me. What are you guys even up to?
Now, I want to bring this up before I forget. I am actually a known, I mean, I've said it to like a couple people before. I'm a known hater of what is the worst thing your deck can do. Personally, I think it is a very poor way of deck assessment, and I don't think it does a good job of balancing pods. Not to say that it doesn't do something, but I think it is significantly less effective than people think that it is. It is because now with the cards that exist in Commander, the cards that are played commonly across all brackets, decks are able to do absurdly powerful things. All of them. And players are able to, players are good at figuring out what is the big thing my deck can do, but they are not good at figuring out how consistently can this deck do this, how hard to interact with is the thing that I'm doing. I think it is really tough to assess a pod in that way, because you can say, oh, well, this deck assembles an infinite combo that is uncounterable and will win on the spot. But that combo may be like 5 pieces, or may need other people to have done things, or like there needs, I also need to have 50 cards in my graveyard or something. It is also easy to be like, this is just aristocrats. I don't have any combos in this deck. It is just, your typical pieces. I'm doing Blood Artist stuff. Okay, cool. But you also made 4 Sephiroth emblems, and there was no combo here, but it was really, really hard to interact with the thing that you were doing. Your strategy in general is very strong, especially for like a lower bracket. I have found that it has not been very useful for me, aside from content reasons.
That is fair. I will say, I do think it's not good at balancing pods. I've largely given up on balancing pods, and now I only seek to be like balanced enough that we will laugh and nobody's going to crash out. I think If I was going to make an estimation, totally uninformed, because I've never actually watched you host a Rule Zero with people that you didn't know, I would imagine that I am giving up a ton of upside to just eliminate maximum downside in under 3 minutes. And you are vying for a much more positive overall experience, and you are willing to invest a little more time. Do you think that is a fair?
That is very fair.
Yeah, because I don't think this is like end all be all. I'm just like, this is one sentence. I can figure out who's gonna shit in the pool, and then we can address that.
Yes.
And that can be play now.
Yeah, because there's also a whole other factor for this is like I do have my goal is usually elevated at like a MagicCon or something. I don't want just people to walk away being like, okay, I didn't have a bad time in that game. I want that to be a memorable game for anybody that I'm sitting down with. So spending more time on it is more important to me. The other thing is the pod has the advantage of one very, very experienced player, because your average, I know that I do this a lot, is somebody will sit down there like, oh, all right, I have my bracket 3 like X commander deck. And I'm like, oh, cool. That's I love that commander. Does it do these things? Is it like one of those? Or is it like, are you taking it in this direction? And there aren't a lot, your average commander player can't do that. They just don't have that breadth of knowledge of things, because I can spot, oh, that's usually a pretty problematic commander. Is it doing those things? But like otherwise, somebody's just sitting down and going, oh, it's like this deck and it does these things, and people don't know. So there is a whole nother factor that may be throwing off. Like
I think that's really important. Yes, I think Rule Zero conversations do have to vary a lot based on how experienced you are as a player, because you can, like what you're talking about, you can do, but like you said, not most people cannot do that. So like, I think when you talk about what the biggest, baddest thing a deck can do is, where it gets confusing is people not understanding what that means. Because the biggest, baddest thing my decks can do, if I said that to people, they would just target me and kill me every game, because they would think like, oh no, this deck is ridiculous, because like if I have the right draw, if I have my Christmas land, it's stupid. And it's so stupid.
And you deserve to be beaten with hammers.
But the thing is, I understand that if someone asks me that, I'm not going to tell them that, because that's not what it actually does. The deck doesn't live in that world 99.99999% of the time. But somebody might overestimate their own deck or not be able to tell, because the real thing is, what can my deck do in Magical Christmas Land? It's like, oh yeah, by like turn 7, I could probably kill everyone. But like in the actual like nut draw, like perfect draw, I'd kill him on like turn 4. Like on the actual, and that's zero interaction, like nut draw. And I feel like there's a distinction there that the average player isn't making. It's like, this can happen 0.0001% of the time, whereas this can happen 1% of the time. And I feel like there is a big distinction in the talking point there.
I think there is a distinction there, but I'm currently inclined to disagree with you just from playing your decks. Specifically the Maelstrom Wanderer decks, because if I think of like, oh, the best that deck can do, there is some combination of cards that on turn whatever would do however much damage. The way I would describe that deck's Christmas Land is every turn after turn 6, I am going to flop a game-ending threat onto the field.
That's literally what I say when I play that deck. I go,
right, and
I will not do anything the first 2 to 3 turns. On turn 3, I will probably ramp. And then turn 4, I will probably also ramp. And then after that, I will start slamming big threats. Feel free to knock me out of the game. I will slam haymakers all game after that turn. And that's always how I describe that deck. It's like, that's what's going to happen. And there's also a 2-card combo in there that was never intended, but it's funny to me, so I never take it out. So I do also state that too. I'm like, there is Sovala and this is such a stupid
and any other card.
So no, it's Hull Breacher specifically. It's so stupid.
Hullbreaker Horror.
Hullbreaker Horror.
Okay.
Yeah, Hullbreaker Horror. So it just keeps bouncing it to make a billion mana. So if you have any card draw, you just win the game. It's stupid. And I think it's so stupid I leave it in anyway. But I always do tell people about that.
Joe with Hullbreacher in their casual commander deck.
Yep. Yeah.
So
because I only cast stuff at sorcery speed. If I cast any instance in that deck, I would take it out immediately.
I was specifically making fun of that you had said the name of the wrong card,
Shut
which
up.
is funny to point out.
But to be fair, those cards sound very similar. Hullbreaker Horror and Hullbreacher, they're literally both breaking in the holes. This is how you break into a hole.
So I think my thing is, right, if you no amount of somebody professing that this was an out of the normal statistical anomaly nut draw has ever unruined a game for me. Or has ever, like, it's never unfucked the vibe when somebody especially deterministic wins, but in general, like. And so I do think, oh yeah, it's turn 4, never going to happen. It's still important to say that it can be turn 4, because if this is that one game, the fact that for you, it's like the reverse of that M. Bison quote. Like for the pilot, this is a magical occurrence. And for everybody else, it's Tuesday and they're getting pub stomped again. And so that is why I typically cleave so tightly to we're playing around the worst thing, because I know so many players do this, like that will make the ceiling of their deck 100 miles high and litter the floor with trampolines. And only one trampoline is powerful enough to launch them to that ceiling. But every game I've ever had where the vibes were significantly dissatisfactory was because one motherfucker hit the right trampoline. And for them, it was like, oh my God, this is so rare. I won the lottery. And everyone else is like, Jason's fucking with us, man.
My real experience with that, like I'm being 100% honest, is when they set those ceilings really high and they sometimes hit it, I haven't had that negative experience that you're talking about, but that is fair. But also, I feel like every time it's set like that, and this is just me bitching about something I've bitched about a million times. It's because of fucking Soul Ring. It's always because of Soul Ring.
Fuck that card!
Every single time. The thing you were talking about and the vibe is actually rude is because Soul Ring just launched them to the moon and their deck. Oh, it turns out you can jump to the moon with a Soul Ring? Holy shit. I'm surprised, Jimmy.
4 mana on turn 2 is a pretty sick trampoline.
Yeah.
It's fucking, I hate that card.
Now, I wonder, because I think there's actually a fundamental difference between what we are looking for, the goal of a Rule Zero conversation. Tell me if you agree with this. You are looking for a fair game.
No.
All right, never mind.
I think there is. Yeah, no. I think there was a version of me, like at the very beginning, I looked for fair games. Then I was very quickly like, oh, you can't, like fair is not the thing to look for. And I guess I think the closest I would say to, no, even that is, no, I'm going to leave it at no, I am not.
Okay, well then I'll tell you the other half of that. Because I am not... A fair game is not the first priority in my Rule Zero conversation. It is a good game. And those are not necessarily the same thing. Like, for instance, CEDH, every one of those games is a fair game. Everybody understands that you are allowed to play with whatever you want. And while, like, say the makeup of the pod may end up being unfair, it's like, oh no, I was against bad matchups. But every game of that is fair. That everybody is at an equivalent power level or believes that they're an equivalent power level. All decks are able to do things of the same level, but very often those games are not good.
I would say the premise is fair. I think it's a different 2-hour conversation, but I disagree that there has ever been a fair game of Magic played in the world. And I don't think it's a thing to look for, but I don't think any individual game of Magic can be fair.
I think that's not a useful path to go down.
Right.
I will say I don't mean that definition of fair. I don't mean that, this is a perfect, each player had the exact same chance to win this game. I'm saying it is Magic the Gathering fair.
Sure. Yes. For Magic the Gathering, as close as Magic can get to fair,
yes.
CEDH gets there.
Yes.
Okay.
You have formed. Yeah. To me, it is Magic the Gathering. You've formed a fair Magic the Gathering game, but that does not necessarily mean a good game of Magic the Gathering.
See, I would change the word good to fun, because I have played games that I would consider not a good game of Magic. Like the way it played out just wasn't good, but everyone had fun. And honestly, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I won't make any distinction between that. That is,
okay,
yes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, because for me, I think the word fun is just like a better word in this case, because
good, fun, satisfying.
Yeah, satisfying. Yeah, I guess I just don't like the word good. It implies that like everyone got to do their thing. And sometimes there are just fun games and everyone has fun, and one player didn't do anything. And I wouldn't consider that a good game. I would consider that a fun game and a satisfying game, but not a good one. So fun, I think fun and satisfying are better words. It's semantics, but I think it is a necessary semantic, at least for me, because a good game is a back and forth where everyone does their thing. That's a good game to me. And that is ideal. But if everyone had fun, doesn't really matter. So that one because I would say there's a lot of games because if you don't do something in a game, you don't care. And it doesn't detract from your fun, because you are a player that will have fun out of the game no matter what. And I would still say that wasn't a good game, but it was a fun and satisfying one.
So now to kind of loop us back, is that a thing? Is that a factor that you can account for in Rule Zero?
Not 100%. No, I think you can. I think to an extent, you try and cover that as much as possible. And that is what Rule Zero is doing. You can cover a lot of that. Just with the very basic things we like, hey, what's our minimum? Even with that minimum, you will get many more fun, satisfying games out of the Rule Zero than when you don't do it. And that is the goal of Rule Zero. The ultimate goal is to get as many fun, satisfying games as you can and avoid as few unfun games where players don't have fun as you can.
I would agree that to an extent you can, but you certainly cannot guarantee it, which is why I was talking about confidence intervals beforehand. I think if you attempt to guarantee it, you will almost always get into the realm of unhealthy expectations you begin trying to set that then make you unhappy later.
If we were setting the Rule Zero, I'd be like, no Soul Ring in the first 4 turns of the game, setting that up right now.
Somebody actually asked me, would Soul Ring be acceptable if it were tapped? And the draft that I typed was no, but what would make it way more acceptable in my eyes would be if they stuck that Jace text on that can't be cast your
Avenger,
first, second, or third turn of the game. Then I'd be like, yeah, whatever. We got Sky Shroud claim.
Yeah,
dog.
that Spider-Man 2099 text.
I almost said that Spider-Man text, but I was like, I'm going to do in-universe. But yeah, I think another aspect that what's the worst thing your deck can do things shapes for me as well is mulligans in the world where I don't do friendly mulligans anymore as well. And this is, again, hugely informed by personal bias, because it's just based off of what has caused dissatisfying games to me and when I have seen other people visibly disengage from the game. And as I said before, it's never when a deck does okay. It's never when somebody else sticks a mana dork and then doesn't high roll. It's only ever been when one deck, almost always because of Soul Ring, accelerates way past whatever implicit expectation people had of power, and they go like, well, I kept a hand that had art I liked in it, so I guess we just scoop here then. And even if
They sound a lot like Maldhound.
they do sound a lot like Maldhound. And so I've found that not even preparing, but like hedging against what does your pop-off look like has allowed me to navigate games way better in the context of like, I am gonna mulligan for early removal. If you've said, I have this really powerful thing I'm trying to do, I'm pretty confident I'm going to do it. Someone's going to have to deal with me. First, there are times I will keep loose as fuck hands if I know that's what everybody else is doing. So this may be something that you are wrapping up in the intent conversation, and I'm attempting to manage it from the perspective of like, who's trying to get crazy? Which one of you motherfuckers is crazy? Because there's a lot of points where I agree with you intellectually, but like every bad time has just been from somebody being like totally chill.
So I think this is actually you're making a good point here by accident. You had a good point in there, but
Bitch.
No. So
Both.
So what I mean is actually, I think there's something that we haven't addressed yet. Rule 0 isn't necessarily need to be done one way or another. I don't think we've addressed this. The way Mald does it, the way Veggie does it, the way I do it,
incompatible.
all different.
And one of them is correct.
Honestly, none of them are correct. There is no objective way to do Rule 0. We can give you the tools that we use that we feel are best. That doesn't mean they'll work as well for you. Maybe it does. Like I think like Mald is saying, literally in his experience, using veggies has not led to good games, and that's fair because Veggie has the opposite experience, and maybe it's just how he does the discussion. Maybe there could be a million factors that change. So like the way you approach Rule 0 does need to come from a way that works for you and not just what works for the podcasters you listen to. Because if you just listen to us, you're just going to have no Soul Ring,
Heaven.
one Stompy Decks, 2 Spell Slingers, and then a 4th guy who's off camera named Josh Lee Kwai who's talking about Ristic Study all the time.
Also, seriously, Josh, can you keep it down? Because we are trying to record a podcast.
Shut the fuck up. It is not worse divination. God.
No, that's Stock Up.
Stock Up's good. I'll fight you.
That card's $10 fucking dollars.
Yeah, because it's amazing.
It's amazing in a set that nobody cared about.
I could not agree with you more. I'm actually was thinking about doing a short about it, how it's like it's played in like 1% of EDH decks, and it's important to remember on EDH track they do only take into consideration when the card comes out forward. So I'm like, that shit's underplayed. That you could like, I'm not saying you should, but you could just throw that any blue deck. That card is what is that card? I was comparing it to like everything like it. Mm-hmm. It's like there is nothing like it. It's just so dumb.
I mean, I've gotten to the point on like, if somebody sends me a deck and has blue in it, I'm like, listen, man, here's your copy of Consult the Star Charts. Here's your copy of Stock Up. And then if you're goofing around a little, here's your copy of Memories Returning. Go on and play.
But like those ones, like I like those cards. I do like those cards, but it just doesn't change anything. That Stock Up's better than all of them. It's such a stupid card, and it's a sorcery. The other ones are instants. Instants make your deck way better, but this card is a sorcery, and it's just absurd. It's the best draw. It's one of, if not the best draw 2 we've ever seen.
In my limited knowledge, I would agree that it's the best. I think there is yet to be a deck with blue that has had a conceivable reason to not run it.
So best Rule 0 thing, does your deck run Stock Up or does your deck not run Stock Up? That'll help determine power level. Boy question.
Oh, fuck yeah, boy question. Oh yeah, I think this is pretty good. I do think there is one thing we missed, which is a necessary part of Rule 0 is asking your pod, do you guys believe the Epstein list is real? And are we all aware that Donald Trump's former personal attorney met with Ghislaine Maxwell in prison ahead of her appeal to the Supreme Court to overturn her conviction? And she went back into prison with a special little box.
So remember, if you want to ask a question here, you can put it in the comments with #boyquestion. And today's question comes from Rockefeller57. Apparently 56 was taken. Can we have all the Good Time Boys go over which commander deck archetypes they love playing and hate playing against?
I like playing Hipster Stompy the most. VV Stompy being the prime example of that. But I like being Stompy with slightly shittier creatures than normal because it makes me feel special. I think the one I dislike playing against the most is typically aristocrats, because they are the people who most deserve to have like a one-off stacks piece that totally shuts them out of the game, and it feels bad to do it. Like, it's the strategy that's best shut off with like all right, we're just gonna put this tape over your mouth, and then they just don't get to play.
That's
you put the tape over their mouth.
I always describe mine as Stompy, but I think just to put the archetype into a more, because I play a lot of decks that would be Stompy. That's a simple answer, but I want to throw another thought in there. My version of Stompy is present big giant threats that don't immediately end the game, and then you have time to answer them. And if you don't, I will win. That is the end of the game. So I like my Stompy. I like Stompy that is, I don't know. I like beatable Stompy. Like, that's the way I want to describe the archetype. I want a Stompy that's like, you can just, if you stop me, you stop me. And I that's why I don't like the Kratos. And things I don't like playing against, dedicated stacks is the main thing, or just specific cards that shut off whole archetypes. I mean, it's mostly just specific game changers that really get under my skin. I really hate cards like Humility. I really hate cards like Tabernacle Pendravale. It's just like those specific kind of cards. So it's like it's uber stacksy decks like that, to the point of like they prevent you from taking a lot of game actions. Those tend to be the decks I don't enjoy playing against personally.
You have a lot of people playing Tabernacle against you?
No, it was in the past one person who happened to own it.
Yeah, Keith, you motherfucker. We've all heard about you.
This is a very hard question for me.
Because you like playing against everything.
Yeah.
Love of the game, head ass, piece of shit.
I enjoy 99% of things. It's literally just things that like say, haha, you do not play game. Just not my cup of tea. I like taking game actions, and when I can't take game actions, I get sad.
Well, I think the ones that I like are pretty obvious. I like playing Spellslinger, although I've come to recognize that there are 3 other people in the game. I like playing Group Hug. And that is a group hug that has a win condition and that is supported by the hugging. I'm struggling to think of what I don't like to play against. I don't know that it's necessarily an archetype, but I'll say I dislike playing against 5-color soup decks. Where the theme of the deck is I'm playing 5 colors so I can put all of the best cards into it. I think they take out that bit of me being interested in what you've done with your deck, because that's the thing that I care about. Like in just for me, I'm like, oh, I'm sitting down with 3 other people that are proud of something that they've brought a thing they made. You know, and they want to show it off, and I want to know what you liked about it. And if the thing that you liked about it is, well, I put all the good cards in it, then I'm like, yeah. So that is what I will say, because those decks certainly exist.
Right.
They may not cleanly fit an archetype, but they are certainly a thing.
Yeah, I mean 90% of commander decks are like mid-range, right? Because they just got, and not even the good legal definition, but mid-range for lack of a different definition. This sure is a pile of stuff I think is good. If you have any other questions for the Good Time Boys, leave it with #boyquestion on this video.
BQ.
Oh shit, #BQ. We won't answer those.
We won't answer those.
I search #boyquestion specifically, so you need to put boy question, all one word. If you put a space, I won't see it. It's on the screen right there. Type it like that, because I searched it as one word. That's why there was only like 7 when I searched it. And there was probably many more. But I didn't find you because you didn't use #boyquestion. Have a good day.